And now, defenders of deviance. That's the focus of tonight's angle. I'm just convinced now they can't help themselves, because when given the choice, liberals on and off the bench will always side with the interests of illegal alien lawbreakers over the Constitution and the safety of the American people. This Judge Brian Murphy, a Biden appointee, just got put on the court in December, and he sits on the federal district court in Boston. He's very upset today, even hinting that the Trump DHS may be guilty of criminal contempt for carrying out the agenda that, of course, President Trump campaigned on, which was removing dangerous illegal aliens from the United States. Now, at a lengthy hearing today, Judge Murphy said it was impossible for these people to have a meaningful opportunity to object to their transfer to South Sudan. Well, he indicated that even 24 hours notice would be inadequate, and further, that the department's speedy removals were unquestionably violative of his earlier order. Well, and this is precisely what they did yesterday when a deportation flight of 8 criminal aliens landed in South Sudan. A top DHS official clapped back at the judge.
We are removing these convicted criminals from American soil so they can never hurt another American victim. Now, a local judge in Massachusetts is trying to force the United States to bring back these uniquely barbaric monsters who present a clear and present threat to the safety of the American people. It is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States of America.
Yeah, this is extremely frustrating, but right now we don't seem to have a majority of justices who agree with the Trump administration on this issue, at least when it comes to the due process issue involved. Now, as a practical matter, lengthy hearings would mean that deportations would slow to a trickle, and we're already way behind where we should be on deportations.
Our commitment here at ICE remains the same, that we will remove the worst of the worst from your communities, including the list of people that are up on this board. As we work every day to make the American people safer, we see activist judges stepping in a way that we have never seen before to put criminals first and not the American people.
Okay, another thing I've concluded, this is the role of Congress at this point. They obviously need to step in here and establish some clear rules. What is the process they're due? How much time should they have to appeal their, the decisions about where they're being deported? What does it look like? What does a hearing look like? Is it a judge? Is it a magistrate? Is it someone who can be appointed just temporarily in the immigration setting? Congress needs to set these rules. Judges are not in a position to write these rules, nor should they be. And the supposed conservative majority on the Supreme Court that liberals are always railing about, they're not going to make deportations move any faster. Never going to happen. And by the way, who are these deportees that are deserving of all this due process? Now, reading these activist judges' impassioned speeches, you might think, these are just poor migrants, and they're just hardworking fry cooks or landscapers. Maybe they're your friendly construction workers. But here are their criminal resumes. Enrique Arias Herrero from Cuba was convicted of homicide and armed robbery. Jose Manuel Rodriguez Quinones, also of Cuba, convicted of attempted first-degree murder, battery, larceny, cocaine possession, and cocaine trafficking. Thongze Nicolot of Laos, convicted of first-degree murder and robbery. Jesus Munoz Gutierrez of Mexico, convicted of second-degree murder. Dion Peter Domak of South Sudan, robbery, possession of a firearm, and burglar's tools. He also has a DUI under his belt. And then there's Kwa Mya of Burma, lascivious acts with a child under the age of 12. Let's not forget Nyo Myint, also of Burma, first-degree sexual assault involving a victim mentally and physically incapable of resisting. And finally, Duan Than Phan of Vietnam, first-degree murder, second-degree assault. So Republicans, you need to immediately move legislation to codify and fund proper removal procedures. These individuals shouldn't be in the United States for a minute longer than is necessary. It's time to put the Democrats on the defensive for standing up for I'm just going to call MRCT, murderers, rapists, and child traffickers. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver is already on her heels on the defensive. She was charged with assault, you remember, in New Jersey a few days ago after her scuffle outside an ICE facility. And at a hearing today, she was released on her own recognizance. By the way, I saw this. She's already sent out a fundraising appeal after her arrest, claiming that I went to an ICE facility in my district to conduct oversight because that's my job and my lawful right as a member of Congress. Overfight? Maybe. Oversight? No. But again, instead of working to rid New Jersey of its criminal element, an elected member of Congress is grandstanding for the cameras and for the criminals. And by the way, again, they're criminal aliens, no less. Of course, when they don't have the facts on their side, Democrats, like the illegals themselves, play the victim.
Representative, can we talk to you about the charges brought against you?
Look, it's political intimidation, and I'm looking forward to my day in court.
Nice speech. But even more revealing was what liberal loon Tim Walz said over the weekend. Again, taking sides against law enforcement.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense.
I thought he said gazpacho. He got that mixed up with Gestapo. All right. As he's spouting that, can you believe that guy was the vice presidential nominee? DHS is arresting criminal illegals in his state. They've nabbed a murderer, a gang member, and child sex offenders. So this issue is horrific for the American people, that we have to deal with this, pay money for this, but it's a gift to the GOP. A new Marquette University poll, a law school poll, shows that Trump's approval numbers on border security are holding strong, 56 to 44. And you know it's bad for the Democrats when even Jasmine Crockett knows it's time to pivot.
Republicans were right. Democrats lost on immigration. When you look at all the polling, when you talk to people, they lost on immigration.
Even Crockett knows what we've been reporting for years now. Americans are fed up with protecting illegals. They're fed up with the scam. They're fed up with the budget-busting effects of illegal immigration, not to speak of all the crime. And those in the poorest communities that the Democrats, they want to tell us they care so much about. For decades, they've been feeling the impacts of illegal aliens most directly. So, look, I don't want to help the Democrats by giving them advice. They know what they should be doing. They used to believe in border enforcement. So let them continue down this path. It's a disastrous path. And even their most dedicated base will eventually abandon them for the party that protects all Americans legally here. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.